Pahlavi texts, translated by E.W. West, Part 2, the Dadastani Danik and the Epistles of Manuskihar I, Clareton, Oxford University Press, 1882, Chapter 9. And as to that which is written, that the teachings of Mediokma, Aparg, and Soshans have all three come and remained, and on that account whoever has washed, just as they always wash, therein is certain that he is worthy. Also, should it have been, as it were, proper to them, would Mediokma have said that not even the purifier is single, and the rest, as written on that subject, which, on account of its acute observation, has seemed to be from their statements. They, however, have not decided it so by the teaching which is in their names, as was indicated by me before. But I do not so understand that if those should have been all the particulars of the peculiarity of all three teachings, would the teachings of Mediokma and Soshans have said concerning any one who should have so washed that the purifier was single, that it is suitable because the high priests have been thus very unanimous that when there is one he is unsuitable, and when it should be to them as it were proper that apart from the hands the other customary parts, pisako, should be washed once by them, would Aparg have said it is proper because washing them 3 times is not mentioned in the Avesta, and when it would have been as it were proper that the 300 pebbles sung should not be cast into the water, and bull's urine, would Aparg's teaching have said that it is proper, because there is not a single use for a pebble, sagitako, and when it would be as it were proper that he who is washed at the ablution seats mock, at which anyone has been washed during the length of a year, is not injured thereby, only they shall take them away, and they are again deposited, would Mediokma's teaching have said that it is proper, because when the stones, sago, are again deposited by one, it is to effect the cleansing, vist arisno, of someone, and when a shower of rain occurs thereon, so that the whole place shall be thoroughly wetted, inside and outside, it is proper. And if someone says that this is the case of a right by a teaching of authority, and the rule is by a teaching of private authority, is not the whole right by any teaching proper, that consists in the washing which is thoroughly preserved as they keep it in practice? The reply is even this, that every right, ni wrong, is to be performed in such a manner as that which is said to be most preservative and most connected with the declaration of revelation and the testimony of the high priests concerning it, and not for the reason that Mediokma's teaching is more preservative as to one right, and after that something of Aparg is more preservative, is the operation to be performed by the statement of Mediokma, but whatever is the more preservative of Mediokma's is collected from Mediokma, all the more preservative of Aparg from Aparg, and that which is the more preservative of any other high priest from that which has the most preservative approval of the high priest, that which those high priests have said, which they decide by just authority is the commandment of the learned of the realm, which has lawfully arisen over the provinces, Sho ha Rano, but even that statement opposing it, which is much testified, and manifestly more of a deliverance, are which is declared as an exposition of the teaching of the high priests of the religion in a dissimilar case, they shall then wholly accept, and they are to perform the operation authorizedly and preservatively thereby. This, too, I so consider, that even if the separate teaching should be, as it were, proper, it would then not be determined by them as to the impropriety of the purifying cup, for Medjokma has stated, only as it was apparent to him that every single customary part is to be washed for 3 times, and has not specifically determined that when all shall be so once, it is not proper. By the special teaching of Medjokma and the washing which is in the law, that says, concerning those interpreting revelation, that whoever becomes quite polluted shall thoroughly wash by that law, so that his being washed is to be considered as being washed. It, right, is not performed by me, if also that other high priest has said that every one who becomes quite polluted and washes not by the law of the primitive faith is not to be considered as washed. Then, too, in the special teaching of Medjokma, it is not said of that washing which is washed by the law of those of a portion of the religion, Porak, Dinoan, that it is not proper. He who washes by the law of those of the primitive faith, which many high priests maintain as excellent, because it is suitable, and imagines that regarding the threefold washing, it should be said that it is not proper. Even he, when he also has become of the same opinion as to this, that the statements of the high priests are on an equality, and the most evidence of the high priests is the right course, would have attained to confidence about this, that in a doubtful matter there should be a high priest, and also that of which Atharg and Soshans have alike understood a similar thing is proper. And I would wholeheartedly agree with the aspect that, where there's doubt, you ask somebody who knows. Somebody who knows the revelation and the inspiration better than oneself, obviously. But there is a question about, well, if you think all the scholars agree, they often don't. And you're just, referring to a few. I think of this group of 6, much like what happened in the Islamic world. There was a lot of schools of thought. They just more or less coalesced into 4 Sunni ones. Are actually, you can really look at it like 73 different groups that existed at the time, and they were represented by different groups, and I don't think the 4, I don't remember how all that divides, but anyways, the subject of washing. The Jews kind of had this thing where, the rabbi makes sure you take the bath or something like that. A young man or a young woman new to the whole thing, in particular. But is this universal with Judaism? No. And nowadays, the places for the ritual bathing aren't open to the weather, and there's general privacy. It's not necessarily that the priest is watching the person bathe. It depends on the ritual. If you're fully clothed and you sit on the stool and that sort of stuff, or you have your towel wrapped around you like in a Turkish bath or something like that. It doesn't necessarily require any immodesty, but rained on and sunned on. Well, some areas, one of those is not terribly reliable as a purifier. Possibly both, right? And nowadays, most things are, I bet in some of these temples they would have indoor enclosures where they would have the right number of stools and the right spacing and stuff like this, like some big ritual bathroom. I've seen some of these bathrooms of wealthy people that are bigger than what most people live in, bigger than a one-bedroom apartment, their bathroom, or even a two or bedroom apartment or something. Now, in person, I have not seen that extent of something.